You felt it, the tension in your forehead that comes out of nowhere, the dreams that feel like messages, the random pull to silence, to stillness, to something deeper. You tell yourself it's stress, too much screen time, just your imagination. But it's not. It's your third eye, and it's not trying to open. It's trying to wake you up. This isn't a new age metaphor. It's not fantasy. It's a biological antenna wired to truth, and it's been signaling you for years. You've just been too conditioned to hear it, because the modern world doesn't want you aware. It wants you distracted, divided, drained. It teaches you to question everything, except the voice that comes from within. That voice isn't your ego, it's your inner eye, your deep sense, the one tuned not to what is loud, but to what is real. And it's been trying to tell you, you're not seeing reality, you're seeing a program, a projection, a filtered, fractured, flattened version of truth. But when the third eye activates, it doesn't just show you what's hidden, it shows you what you've always known, but were taught to forget. This is not about awakening some mystical power. It's about remembering your original perception, the one you had before the world told you what to see. You weren't born blind to truth. You were taught to ignore it. As a child, your perception was wide open. You sensed things before they happened. You felt people's energy without words. You picked up on emotions others tried to hide. You spoke truths that made adults uncomfortable. And slowly, the shutdown began. They called it imagination, said you were too sensitive, told you to stop daydreaming, to grow up, to focus on reality. But what they meant was narrow your perception, trade your intuition for instruction, trade your knowing for approval. So you did. You learned how to look without seeing, how to listen without hearing, how to think without feeling, how to be in a world built on sleep and not disturb it. And every time you ignored the subtle whisper, the pulse between your brows dimmed a little more, until one day it was just background static, not gone, just buried. Because here's the thing, the third eye never fully closes. It only becomes dormant, silenced under layers of programming, trauma, and noise, but it's still there, waiting, watching, recording. It knows the truth you've been circling. It knows the illusions you keep feeding. It knows the you that exists beyond the mask. And every now and then, it tries to break through. In the middle of the night, in the middle of a conversation, in the silence between distractions, it sends a flash, a feeling, a moment of clarity so sharp you can't unsee it. But you bury it again because truth is disruptive. The third eye doesn't open gently. It opens like a rupture. It breaks everything that isn't aligned because its purpose isn't comfort, it's clarity. So if your life has started to feel like it's unraveling, that's not a breakdown. That's your real sight waking up. Your third eye isn't some mystical myth. It's a functional part of your body, a gateway, a sensor. Biologically, it's linked to your pineal gland, a tiny structure at the center of your brain, sensitive to light, frequency, and vibration. Spiritual traditions have known about it for thousands of years. Science is just catching up. But this eye doesn't see with light. It sees with knowing. It decodes fields, reads patterns, interprets the unseen. And here's the catch. It doesn't speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of energy, which is why most people miss its signals. They expect visions, lightning bolts, a voice in the sky, but it speaks in subtleties, a sudden knowing that feels louder than thought, an urge that won't go away, even when reason says ignore it, a flash in meditation, a whisper right before you fall asleep, a gut feeling that pulls you toward or away from something for no explainable reason. You think you're imagining it. You're not. You've just been trained to trust everything but yourself, because the system depends on your blindness, your disconnection, your hesitation. It survives by keeping your deep sight offline so that you only see what they show you. But the third eye, it's persistent. It's not waiting for permission. It's pushing through. And every time you ignore it, it doesn't punish you. It just gets more obvious until your dreams become confrontational, until your reality starts mirroring your inner distortion, until the life you've been tolerating becomes impossible to keep living. That's not coincidence. That's your perception trying to evolve. And if this is starting to feel like something you've sensed your whole life, subscribe and hit the bell, because the eye has always been open. You're just now remembering how to use it. Everyone says they want clarity. They want their third eye to open. They want the veil to lift. They want truth. But what they don't understand is clarity comes with cost. Because once you see, you can't unsee. Once the third eye is truly active, there's no going back to comfort. No going back to fake smiles, surface talk, or stories that keep you asleep. You start to feel the lies in people's voices, the manipulation in systems you once trusted, the energetic contracts behind every normal interaction. You walk into a room and know who's angry, who's scared, who's hiding. You watch a politician speak and feel the split between their words and their field. You have a conversation with someone you love and suddenly realize they don't know you. They only know the version of you that used to play small. This is the price. The world doesn't shift because you woke up. You do. And that means what used to fit no longer does. What used to be enough now feels hollow. What used to distract you now disgusts you. And that grief, that isolation, that ache for connection in a world that still wears masks, it's all part of the process, because clarity doesn't just reveal truth, it destroys illusion. And illusion is what held your life together. So when your third eye opens, your life might fall apart. But don't confuse that for failure. It's a dismantling. Everything that was built on false alignment must collapse to make space for what's real. And real isn't always pretty. Sometimes real is ugly, chaotic, painfully honest. Sometimes it's crying on the floor because the life you built no longer makes sense to the version of you that sees now. But that pain isn't the end. It's the portal. It means your nervous system is being recalibrated. It means your intuition is louder than your programming. It means you're no longer afraid of your own vision. And when that happens, you stop asking to see. You start asking how to hold what you're shown. Because the third eye doesn't just give you images, it gives you responsibility. Now that you see the distortion, what will you do? Now that you know what's false, will you still comply? Now that you've remembered your sight, will you trust it? Because clarity isn't a gift, it's a challenge. Once your third eye is open, you're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. And that's exactly what makes it hard. Because the world is built for sleepers. It rewards obedience, not awareness. It prizes comfort, not coherence. It promotes illusion, not insight. So when you start seeing clearly, when your vision sharpens beyond what's accepted, you become a disruption, not by shouting, not by trying, just by being. Your presence alone shakes systems, because you stop responding the way they're designed to expect. You no longer laugh at hollow jokes. You no longer say yes to roles that drain you. You no longer pretend not to notice the energetic shift in a conversation. You speak less. But when you do, people feel it, because you're no longer broadcasting noise. You're transmitting signal, and that's uncomfortable. Not for you, for them. People around you may begin to pull away, not because they hate you, but because your clarity reflects their confusion. Your embodiment highlights their avoidance. Your awakening threatens the stories they're still committed to believing. So they'll call you intense, too deep, too sensitive, disconnected, changed. And you'll have to decide, do I shrink to make others feel safe? Or do I keep expanding, even if I walk alone for a while? This is the rite of passage the ancient mystics knew. That awakening isn't about information, it's about integration. It's about learning how to walk through the illusion with your sight intact, without needing to destroy others' dreams to validate your own. You begin to move differently, not above, not beyond, but through. You make peace with being misunderstood. You stop trying to be seen and start seeing yourself. And ironically, That's when the right people begin to find you. The ones who speak your frequency, the ones who see the world in symbols, the ones who've also been torn open by their own awakening and are now building something real from the pieces. You don't need to teach them, just sit with them, and together hold the field. Because you're not here to fit back in. You're here to anchor a new level of clarity in a world still addicted to the fog. The third eye isn't here to help you escape. It's here to help you see so clearly. You can finally choose with full awareness who you are becoming. Clarity without action becomes stagnation. Insight without movement becomes overload. And the third eye wasn't designed to entertain you. It was designed to recalibrate you. Seeing is not enough. You must now live differently. You've seen through the illusion. You've pierced the pattern. You've felt the glitch in the program. Now comes the real test. Will you move in alignment with what you've seen? Because the most powerful expression of awakened sight is not prophecy, not visions, not mysticism. It's discernment in motion. It's saying no to what no longer fits, even when it's familiar. It's speaking truth in rooms built on silence. It's protecting your energy like it's sacred, because now you know it is. The third eye changes your choices. You no longer chase. You attract. You no longer perform. You transmit. You no longer try to fix everything. You feel what's yours and leave what isn't. And as your actions shift, so does your environment. People fall away. Opportunities morph. Time bends. Reality, which once felt like a solid linear force, starts responding to your internal state like clay in your hands. This is how you know the eye is fully online. Life becomes a mirror, not of your thoughts, but of your frequency. The more you act from alignment, the more synchronicity becomes your baseline. But this isn't magic. It's mathematics. It's resonance. The field around you bends toward coherence. And now that you see clearly, you no longer act from fear. You act from field awareness. You feel the shift before it arrives. You hear the lie behind the smile. You sense the fork in the road and know, without needing to ask, which way is yours. And this is where the simulation starts to collapse. Not in fire, but in form. Because your third eye isn't just a personal tool. It's a collective disruptor. The more of you that walk in clarity, the harder it becomes for the illusion to hold. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convince. You just need to move as someone who remembers. Because memory, true soul memory, transmits more power than any message ever could. You've seen, now move, because clarity that isn't lived dies as potential. As you continue to walk in alignment with your awakened vision, something unexpected begins to happen. Reality stops feeling like a fixed path and starts feeling like a living organism, responding to you in real time. It's subtle at first. You speak a thought and a confirmation arrives. You make a decision and resistance vanishes. You take a leap and the net appears before you land. This isn't coincidence. This is co-creation. Your third eye doesn't just show you the hidden. It shows you how reality bends when you show up congruent with your truth. The illusion made you believe life was something that happened to you, but sight reveals the deeper truth. You're not living inside a reality. You're living inside a feedback loop that reflects your internal state with surgical precision. And the more you clear the distortion, the more clearly you begin to sculpt your experience. Not through control, but through clarity. You stop chasing outcomes. You align your energy, and outcomes chase you. You stop proving yourself. You embody truth, and the world rearranges itself around your frequency. This is when life becomes lucid. You are in the dream, but now you're awake. You choose what to feed with your focus. You feel which doors are yours to open. You see which relationships are contracts of the past and which are invitations into your next evolution. But here's the paradox. The more powerful your perception becomes, the more softly you move, not out of timidity, but out of reverence. You begin to realize how fragile the old matrix is, how much illusion is built on borrowed belief, how quickly the spell breaks when even one person stands in full coherence. So you don't rush to destroy. You walk with presence. You no longer demand understanding. You become the mirror. Because when your third eye is fully awake, you no longer seek to escape this world. You start rebuilding it from within. With every choice, every word, every boundary, every breath, you become the transmission that reminds others of what they've buried. Not by force, by frequency. Because truth doesn't need to convince, it just needs to be seen. Your third eye never shut down. It didn't fail you. It didn't vanish. It simply got buried beneath layers of noise, roles, fear, and forgetting. You weren't blind. You were conditioned to look away from your own knowing, from the space between thoughts, from the stillness that reveals everything the world tries to cover up. But now, the distractions aren't loud enough. The illusions don't stick. The mask no longer fits, because once you've seen the real, even for a second, nothing unreal can satisfy you again. That ache in your chest, that sense that something bigger is calling you forward, that's not longing, that's recognition. Your third eye doesn't show you the future. It shows you the truth that's already here, just beneath the surface of your performance. And here's the ultimate realization. You never needed to open the third eye. You just needed to listen to it. It was never about seeing visions. It was about finally trusting the one part of you that's never lied, your deep inner sense. And now, with your sight returned, you have a choice. Go back to pretending, or step fully into the field where everything responds to your clarity. This isn't just about perception, it's about permission. Because once you give yourself permission to live from your awakened sight, you give others silent permission to do the same. One clear being can fracture 1,000 illusions. So now the only question is, now that you see, what illusion are you finally ready to stop feeding? Drop your answer below. Someone else might be one sentence away from remembering their own vision.